Welcome to the Two Dudes Talk Movies podcast. I'm Luke.
And I'm Griffin.
And you'll probably notice things do not look normal currently. We got some new equipment, so we are not using the standard camera bodies this time up on the tripods. We instead have these new, I think they're Logitech, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
But they're webcams, and the background is obviously a lot more visible. You can see more things, both in mine and Griffin's. And I have a computer next to me that's allowing me to switch things. I'm trying not to completely do a turn to look at it and then turn back to look at you guys or to Griffin. So it's definitely a learning process. So bear with us. We're trying some new stuff and we'll see how it goes. But today we are talking about the 2025 movie. That is right. A very recent movie came out last week. Or was it last week?
It was recent. It's recent.
Yeah, I think it was last week. Point is, it's called The Long Walk. Now, this movie is based off of a Stephen King novel and follows a group. In the novel, it's 100. In the movie, it's 50. But all of these boys are living in an authoritarian
dystopian
government in the United States.
Yeah.
And they're participating in the Long Walk, which is this lottery contest where you are forced to walk 4 miles per hour with no change in pace, and you just walk until one of you is left. And whoever wins gets this massive amount of money, and they can make a wish with their money and get it granted to them. So that's the premise of this movie. It stars a lot of more recent actors. I don't know how long all of them have been around, but for me, I've noticed them propping up more recently. So some of those include Cooper Hoffman as Ray, who's our main character for the movie. David Johnson was Peter McVries, who's Ray's friend as they are on this long walk. And Johnson is somebody that's been on my eye and radar for a while because he was also, I want to say his name was David, but he played David in Alien Romulus. Another great movie, by the way.
I've not
seen it. Yeah, if he was in it, I'm going to pay attention, right? I liked his acting a lot in Alien Romulus. I like his acting a lot here, too. Some other more recent ones that we get are Ben Wang as Hank and Roman Griffin Davis, who plays Thomas. Just some other boys that are there. But the most prominent of all of these actors, I would argue, is Mark Hamill, who plays the Major, who's the main antagonist of this film. He's the military guy kind of running the whole contest, basically, and escorting everybody along their way.
But yeah, with Mark Hamill being in the movie, that was kind of unexpected. I was like, oh, Mark Hamill's in this. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know, because he did The Life of Chuck, which I think was also this year. And yeah, Mark Hamill's definitely up there in terms of actors. I don't know how much more recent stuff he's done, but his name's out there, whether you've seen Star Wars, who plays Luke Skywalker. If you grew up on Batman the Animated Series during the 90s, during the 90s, he voiced the Joker. So he's been around. Love the guy. He's great. But yeah, so for me, initial thoughts, I really, really like this movie. This was on my radar for a while because it was just something interesting. I was like, oh my God, you're going to put these boys out and just make them walk forever? That's a hell of a contest. And being a former cross-country runner, through high School and stuff, seeing a similarly, I hope I said it right, adjacent thing. You're walking instead of running. It's I'm seated. Show me what it is. How's it work? Show me the conflict that's there. I do think they do a great job at that. I'm sorry for looking down at this. It's a learning curve, I promise.
But yeah, I'm kind of glad to see more Stephen King brought to film because I've read a few Stephen King books myself, like It, Carrie, Insomnia. Seeing Stephen King brought to film, it just kind of excites me, and just kind of seeing. I've never read The Long Walk, but I've heard about it before, and kind of cool to see it as a film.
But I touched briefly on the acting. I really do like all of the actors. I didn't list every single one. I just listed some of the more prominent people. But all of the actors are really young too. They're mostly mid-20s. I think there's only one that's in his 30s, aside from Mark Hamill. obviously.
Yeah.
But it's mainly Ray and Peter's bond through this movie, the characters who highlight all of this for me. And Hoffman and Johnson have such a grueling performance, and I mean that as a compliment because they're really showing just how hard it is to deal with the stress of the long walk, right? Where you'd think you're like, I could walk, it's not a problem. When your feet start giving out and your feet break through your shoes because you've walked so long and the soles fall off and then you're using your feet on the bare hot pavement, it's not really a great experience.
Especially after like 300 miles, like your feet and shoes are going to wear off really quickly.
Yeah, it's brutal, and we'll get to that as well. But since I've touched on it briefly, what are your thoughts regarding acting?
Regarding acting, I kind of liked the bonds of friendship and enemies that were made among the boys like throughout the entire movie, like between Ray and Peter especially, because they're the main protagonists that you're following, and just seeing their bond, even if it just lasted a few days, like they were kind of stuck with each other for that amount of time, and just kind of seeing like their friendship develop. And then also like with what was his name, Barkovich, like initially he kind of started out as like, not really a great person. I feel like he kind of changed throughout the movie too, just kind of eventually kind of became more friendly with Ray, but until he obviously died. But yeah, that's kind of what I thought.
And I could go into cinematography and stuff with this and sound and all that. But if I'm going to be honest, it's kind of pretentious, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm personally not going to. It's all just kind of mostly standard stuff. There's a couple scenes where the score comes in, and gets an emotional impact out of you, but it's nothing overly important and what makes this film stand out to me so much. So I didn't have as much to say on it. But with that being said, did you have something to say on it?
Yeah, I mean, with the cinematography, there was nothing like really like all that special with it, because I mean, most of it's just kind of like tracking shots of like of all of them just kind of walking along, and like sometimes you get some like interesting like overhead shots or whatever, but in terms of like cinematography, there really isn't like a whole lot.
For me, what really made this movie so striking, so impactful, and so good is the tension and suspense throughout the whole thing. There's 50 of these boys, they're walking down the road. You don't know who's going to be able to walk the longest, who's going to give out first, that whole sort of thing. And that's mainly why my notes that I took are so long, because I wrote down every single death in this movie just to keep track of them and to like figure out which one I thought was probably like the most absurd.
I mean, I appreciate, I applaud the dedication to that.
Yeah, I because like I was writing it down too, and I was like, I don't need to be writing all this. I need to just pick out the ones that are like the most gruesome to talk about. Right. But then as I sat down to think about that, so many of them are so gruesome that I can't cut any of them. I'm not going to list all of them here, but I am going to briefly touch on some of them.
Spoiler alert, most people die.
Okay, but so for example, I'm going to be general about it. I'm going to try not to name names. But I'm sure most of us have had a Charlie horse before once in a while. Those things kind of hurt. You're like grabbing your leg and like spazzing out a little bit with it. That slows you down. If you get slowed down, you get a rifle pointed towards your head. So you either pick up the pace or you die. Not an option. And that's what's also so crazy with the violence in this, is because nothing is cut with it, which is another thing with the cinematography, is that normally when a character gets shot for something, right, they'll show everything with whatever weapon or the gun it is, and then they'll cut before you see them die, but you'll hear the audio at the same time that it cuts, so then you know, oh, they're dead.
Yeah.
Or they've been shot. This movie shows all of it. So if somebody has a gun pointed towards their head and the trigger gets pulled, you're seeing the whole head go flying. So it's pretty gruesome in that regard.
And yeah, that's like one thing I kind of liked about the movie too. It's like, it's brutal. It's kind of, I guess not really in a sense like very real, but like it's because nothing like this happens here. But it's like just like the stress is very real of like, because you know if you slow down then you're gonna die. You got to keep it moving. um and like the movie is like, it's not afraid to like show off deaths in a gruesome way. It's like and it just kind of adds like, because every time you hear a gunshot go off, it's like, oh, that's another person dead, and like you just kind of have to keep it moving.
Yeah, so Charlie horses are one of those scenes that I'm noticing, and that's like the first instance of a character dying is somebody gets a Charlie horse, right? And then you move on, and as you keep going, things progressively just get more and more absurd. There's a scene where one character starts to instigate another, just kind of making fun of each other. And when the one finally has enough and swings at him, the guy instigating like steps out of the way. And when he does, the kid trips and goes across the pavement and his skin scrapes across it. I hope that sounded... Sorry for brief ASMR, everybody.
There's no ASMR.
Yeah. But no, like his face skids across the pavement and just ruins the whole side of his face. And because he's in so much pain and doesn't get up quick enough, they just shoot him on the spot.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't walking. So like it's very serious stuff. There's also a lot of instances where characters have to stop and take a and you probably never thought to put it together, but if you're walking and you have to take a you got to stop moving. So try and take a with a rifle pointed towards your head and see how that goes out. It's rough, and some characters die from it. Others kind of learn to just get on with it and just go while they're walking, honestly.
Yeah, it's like if you got to take care of business, like better do it fast.
Yeah, it's something I never thought about, but like it's kind of one of those things that I think people subconsciously think about when they're watching a movie, especially like superhero movies where you're like, did they not have to go to the bathroom at any point during all of this? Right. So like seeing that with this, I was like, I wonder if they're going to address that. And then they did. And I was like, oh my God, that's crazy. Like they genuinely thought about it.
Yeah.
Another example is that the military that's kind of walking with them are on these tanks for some of them. Most of them are like APC kind of vehicles, but there are a tank or two. And one of the kids, I don't know if I wrote all of it down, but basically he gets his legs run over by the tank somehow. So he literally just can't stand up. He's still alive. Like you're living without legs, and then they shoot him and kill him anyway because he can't move. And, all of those are on-screen deaths, right? But there's the first night whenever they're still walking and they first reach the late night hours, and a lot of people die. But every single death during that first night is all off-screen. And you can make an argument that it's lazy, but I will counter that and say that it's more important that it's off-screen. Because one, it's dark outside. You probably can't see everybody walking around even though they have lights, so maybe that argument's a little bit weak. But the main argument for it is it's more scary to think about the fact that you didn't see it as compared to the fact of the ones that you do. Because when you don't see it, you're just left guessing, like, how did they die? What happened to them?
And, like, another thing with that, too, like, during that first night, like, so many of them die. And, like, it's like when it's day out, you really get a count of, like, you started with 50 and now you're down to, like, 20 or 30. And it's like, even though not every death is shown, because I don't think you want to really watch 20 heads get blown off across the pavement.
And as these deaths continue, they only progressively get more and more insane. Like, the tank thing was pretty bad. It can get worse. There's a lot of characters that end up trying to run away, and I don't know what their plan there was. Right. Like, the army staring you down with rifles, you're not running away. But it kind of ties into the psychological aspect of all this where, like, it's genuinely that bad. If you can take a chance to run for it, your odds are better running than are just walking. So there's that end of things. There's also a scene where one character has a spoon with them. And the moment I saw it, I knew something was going to happen. And sure enough, they use that spoon to off themselves to get out of having to walk this way because it's genuinely so terrible to go through, if that makes sense.
As like more people are dying, it's just like as you get down to like the final like 3 to 5 people, it's like you've watched so many people die in like so many brutal ways that it's like you, and like the movie does a really good job of like displaying like that stress of like just you've watched so many people die in like so many brutal ways, and like just hearing the gunshots go off, and it's like the first death, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so shocking. In the middle, it's kind of like they're kind of like almost used to it, like they're desensitized to the people getting shot in a way. But then it's like, as you realize, like, oh, there's only 10 people left. Like these people are like kind of close to me now, and it's like you kind of care about them more. And as they get picked off one by one by one, it's like there's just more mental stress, and like some people would rather just off themselves than continue on.
Yeah, and that's a bleak outlook for everything, but that's just the nature of the movie, and I guess a lot of Stephen King works as well. But going back to what you said with these characters, and you're getting down to the last two, and you're like, oh my god, these are my pals, like friends and all that. You really, really care about it when it gets down to the last two. The last two eventually go back and forth with each other on who's gonna
live or die.
Yeah, who's gonna let the other win, pretty much. And it's not an insanely long back and forth, which kind of surprised me, but I don't think it needed to be.
No.
But it's emotional to watch because you want both of them to win for different reasons on like who their characters are as you go through the movie and everything. But only one of them can win, and the other is going to die on screen, and you're going to see it. So like it tugs at your heart a little bit to like just watch that, and it's like I'm feeling for these characters. Like I don't want them to go through these awful, horrible things.
Yeah, once it got down to like the final three, like that third person was, I won't spoil who, but that third person died, and then you're just left with the final two, and it's just like they have like a back and forth exchange, and it's like at first it makes you think like one character is gonna die, and it's like, but then it turns out to be the other. You know what I'm talking about, obviously.
Yeah.
But like at that point, you're just like you're so invested in them that it's just like you don't want to watch them die, but like at the same time, you know it's inevitable that they will.
Yeah, and I think it helps too that most of this is shot on location, so they're just kind of going on whatever road they come across, right? And that helps localize everything because you're watching these real human emotions between everybody and these deep, complex, and moral thoughts, and not immoral, just moral thoughts, and just having that real location to accompany all of it makes everything feel so much more palpable as you're watching it. And it kind of reminds me too of, and maybe it's just me when I'm driving, but like if I'm going down a country road, right, and it's just these open fields like they are in this movie, and I'm like, I wonder what would happen if I just took off on a road, saw where it took me. Like those are the things that I kind of get out of that.
It's just like you pull an Interstellar and just kind of go off into the cornfields and, just never see the light of day again.
Yeah, the difference is I don't think this movie had the budget to afford buying a whole cornfield,
probably
planting it, destroying it, and then giving it all back to farmers. But yeah, shout out Christopher Nolan. You're my goat, bro. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. One other thing too with this dialogue. I'm a big hater of exposition, and I'm okay with the way that it's done here. There's a lot of character monologues, and that's just the way to express who these characters are and get you to know them. And normally I would hate that because I'm like, oh, I want to see that. Don't tell me that. But the difference here is that even though there are a couple flashbacks, not many, to certain things, and my notes flipped to the end for some reason, so now I have to scroll back up because there's a lot. Okay. Basically, the dialogue here is different because think of it as walking death row, basically, right? You're on your last moments alive, unless you're the winner, but anybody could be the winner here because it's just whoever can walk the longest. And I know there's always that saying about you kind of relive your life before you die and see all those moments. That's kind of what's happening here, but instead of just living them in your head, you're kind of having this big group therapy session with everybody almost, and verbalizing it and sharing those stories with each other, trying to find some comfort in the last moments of your life, if that makes sense.
I also kind of liked how they did the exposition, because it's like, even though it's all kind of just through dialogue, it's like at the same time, it's like the setting works out too, because like you're on a big long walk with all these characters, so it's like it just kind of works out that you can just have that, like as you said, kind of like group therapy, and it's just kind of like it can be explained to you as you're walking along, and like it just works out that way.
Well, those are the main things that I wanted to go over for things that I like, and just kind of expressing why this movie stood out to me so much. That being said, there are a couple minor things that kind of got on my nerves because I've never liked a movie. But before I get into any of that, thank you for that. Pause that too. But before I get into that, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
So yeah, kind of going into the ending. Spoiler warning, by the way. So once it's the end, you have character number 1, who I'll not name for reasons, and then you got character number 2, who I'll not name for reasons. So for character 1, they're about to die, and then you also have character 2, who wins in a sense. And then you have the Major as well. The spoiler is that as the Major kills character number 1, and that's important because there's a flashback scene with them that kind of explains like why character number 1 and the Major had like a bond together. So when character number 1 is dead, character number 2, like he wins, and like, you know, there's fireworks going off, there's a big celebration for him. His wish is to have a gun, and he kills off the Major, because that was character number 1's intention, which was kind of revealed like halfway through the film. But it's like at the same time, it's like character number 2 is kind of like, he was like so changed by the outcome of the race. Like he'd heard Ray's story, and it's just like he was probably just so mentally on the edge that it's just like he wasn't thinking straight of like, oh, I could use this for so many other good reasons, but he used it ultimately to avenge his friend's death. So that's kind of my thoughts on the ending.
Yeah, I know you said you weren't going to spoil it as best you can. I fear I have to spoil it for my point to make sense here. You kind of let it slip, though. We've gotten a lot of spoiler warnings. Cam will probably text me after this episode and get on me for spoiling it, even though it came out like a week ago, and it's your guys' fault if you didn't watch it already. But no, spoiler warning, again. I feel like we need to just have an unwritten rule that if you're going to watch an episode, assume that we're going to spoil it.
Yeah.
At least for my end of things, because usually I have points that like are related directly to certain things that like I have to explain and spoil stuff.
It's like at this point, just watch the movie before you watch the episode.
Which I feel like you should be doing anyway, even if it's not just for us, but like you're reading the movie reviews or something. Like, go watch it. Well, movie reviews are different because they're like written out. And so you can get into the more vague stuff, and you can't go into finer details as much as you can in conversations like this. So I guess at least for us, just watch it before you watch the video. But anyway, I'll start with my larger but still a minor complaint with things, and then move into the smaller one that I noticed. And it deals with the ending as well. So spoilers again. I cannot stress this enough. Ray and Peter are the last two that'll be coming down to the walk, and you let it slip briefly, but Ray and the Major have beef with each other.
Yes.
That part I won't spoil. I'll let you watch the movie and figure that one out. But to me, it was pretty obvious Ray was going to get to the end anyways. The film opens with him, and it would be very bold, but more impactful, I feel like, if the character you open the film with dies. Because think about it. Like, it would set a precedent for the rest of the movie where you just don't know anything. And, like, the Scream movies kind of did a similar thing where the supposed main character for those dies almost immediately. So then you're left with the rest of everybody trying to figure out who it is that's going to live. And I partially wish that the movie did the same thing here. But the way that they wrap up stuff with Ray's character arc, I'm okay with him getting to the end and stuff, like it makes sense, but it's just so obvious that it's going to be him. And then Peter kind of gets the same thing because he's the second character you get introduced in the movie.
Right.
And him and Ray are always next to each other. They've always had the best cadence out of anybody walking this whole time. So it just felt very obvious that it was going to get down to them two, and predictable. I didn't feel any shock value from anything until the ending when they really go back and forth. And that's when you just don't know who's coming out on top because they're both in a 50-50 standoff. It's just whoever lets the other win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So we open the movie with Ray, and it's like you kind of expect him to make it to the end. Like that part's kind of obvious. And then you also meet Peter. Like it was like, as you mentioned, the second person we introduced. So it's like, in a way, it's kind of like set up. Like you kind of expect both of them to make it to the end. Like I personally kind of disagree with the point like that they should have killed Ray like earlier in the movie. Like I think like it's kind of like his story. It's made clear like halfway through the film because of his beef with the Major. So it's kind of like you kind of expect it to be them at the end. So it's like personally I think they both it made sense for them to both live and then be there at the end.
Yeah, and that's the point I'm trying to make as well, is that it's obvious that they will make it to the end. Their stories both wrap up in satisfying ways. That part doesn't bother me. It bothers me that I have no shock value for them. I have shock value for everybody else because even though we still get introduced to them like right at the start and the movie moves along, just I don't know what to expect from them. But then I see these two that are almost perfectly fine. They struggle, but not nearly as bad as anybody else. And then it gets down to them two, and I have no reaction or... Yeah, I guess just reaction is the best way to say it, but like no reaction to them being there because I'm like, yeah, it's obvious it was going to be those guys.
Right.
I wanted some more uncertainty with things. And we do get parts of that, but it's just not enough as compared to other characters. I would rather have them all be equal other than varied, where it's like, yeah, that person's going to die, or yeah, that person's going to live. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that does kind of make sense, yeah.
My other complaint is a very minor one. This one is not nearly as big as the other one. But I had a problem with the pacing a little bit. And let me clarify, I'm not talking about the movie's pacing. I'm talking about them walking 4 miles per hour. And the reason for this is that it's not unrealistic to walk that pace. Like, that part's fine. But as I'm watching it, I'm noticing that the characters will change their, like, position in relation to where the vehicles are. So sometimes they're much closer, sometimes they're way farther, and usually they're about average in the middle. And so that all makes sense. But if they're walking the same pace, how are they moving closer and farther to the vehicles? Like, you're going the same pace. You can't be slowing down because then you get shot. Nothing happens if you speed up, but if you try to run away, they'll shoot you on spot or give you a warning if you, like, speed up too much. So something that I thought could be the answer is that if the vehicles themselves are what's moving up and down, right? But then you have side characters that sometimes get in front of Ray and Peter, and then other times they're behind them. So nothing's ever, like, really clear about how you're moving around. And that's what I'm trying to get at with the pacing. It's just, I don't know. It's a continuity thing. It's not a huge problem because you're not going to notice it unless you're really thinking about it. Excuse me. But yeah, just something I noticed.
I think with the whole, like, yeah, with the pace, I think for the book, it's 4 miles an hour, but for the movie, they changed it to 3 miles an hour to keep that pace.
The book was 4 miles per hour?
Yeah, the book was 4 miles an hour. The movie was 3 miles an hour was the pace they needed to keep.
Okay. I thought it was 4, like for the movie as well, because I thought Peter was checking his watch and keeping the same pace. But maybe I'm incorrect on that.
I think it was 3.
Yeah. Point is that regardless if it's 3 or 4, it's not a huge difference in speed. Right. But yeah, I don't know. Just a minor continuity thing. Something worth pointing out. Maybe CinemaSins has ruined me as a kid and I'm just like going off on it. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, just something I thought about. I do have a deep thought ready for us as well, if you think we are ready for such a thing.
I think we're ready.
Alrighty then. Deep thought. It's kind of basic. Long walk. 3 or 4 miles per hour. Just go in a direction. Go until you can't. How far do you think you're lasting? I'm going to start with you.
If I had to maintain a pace of like 3 to 4 miles an hour, I would not make it for maybe like realistically, maybe like 10 hours, 10, 12 hours. Like,
Okay.
I never did like cross country or anything. I mean, like, I can walk. I've been hiking before. It's not like I sit at a chair all day. It's not, obviously I get up and walk, and like I've walked long distances before, but it's just like if it's under like that stress and like under that, you know, you're always moving, like almost no rest. It's like, yeah, no, I'm not going longer than 12 hours probably.
Yeah, I had to really think about this one for a minute because I did do cross country stuff, right? So it's different in this case because you're not running, but you're walking. But the endurance still applies here. And even though I have terrible shin splints, I think I could manage those because I'm walking. I'm not running, so I'm not stressing the shins out as much as I would be if I was running. So moving past that, I really think that what would get me is if I have to stop and take a like genuinely, I think that's what would get me. Because like if I didn't have to go when we start, right? Like I'm all good and we're going. I'll go until like probably the first night or so. And then that's probably where like I'll get into a weird thing because you're walking through the night, your body's tired. Eventually I'm going to fall asleep and like my legs will give out and then I'm on the floor and I'm getting shot.
Right.
But assuming I have to go before that happens, genuinely having to like stop and go, I think would be the problem because like you have to physically stop moving to do that. It's hard to like initially think like, yeah, I can easily do this, no difference. I'll just walk as I'm going because like that's not a natural thing. And in the context of the long walk, it's not something you're thinking about until you're actually out there. So you don't have that choice because you've got a rifle pointed at your head the whole time.
Right. Yeah, kind of rethinking that now because I did not when I made that 12-hour calculation, I did not take bodily functions into account there. But let's just assume I was fine at the start of it. Like, I had nothing wrong. Realistically, maybe I can make it through the night now, but like, I still wouldn't last that long because like, I mean, my legs would give out eventually.
Yeah, and then you also got to consider the fact like during the night as they're like sleepwalking and stuff, the other characters are like dragging the others along to like keep them awake. If you didn't make good friends with anybody the first day that you're there, you're just dead instantly because nobody's going to help carry your body around and keep you walking. Right. So, yeah, I think for me, the moment I have to squat over, it's done deal for me. It's just call the Reaper and get him over here. But, yeah, those are the things that I wanted to talk about. I really do like this movie a lot. But before we get into the ratings, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
No, I don't think there's anything else.
Alrighty then. Well, Griffin, we'll go with you first. What would you rate the movie?
All right. This might sound crazy, but I'm going to give this movie a 5 out of 5.
Oh, I messed that up. There we go.
There you go. I don't know what to say. I mean, like, you really come to love these characters. Like, the stress just kept me, like, watching. I almost took no notes because I was just, like, you know, stressing for Ray there at the end. And it's just like the movie, like it does not. It's brutal. It's like it's not clean at all. It's like it's very. If a character dies, like you feel it. You feel it. So look.
I keep pressing the wrong keys on here. If it looks like kind of choppy, it's because it is. Apologies. Like I said, new system, learning curve.
All right. So, Luke, what would you give this movie?
Similar rating. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5. That is our thing messed up? Hold up. There we go.
No, I'm just pressing it weird.
I think we both pressed it too quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4.5 out of 5 for me. I agree with the exact same points Griffin just made. When these characters go through things, you feel for them. You care about watching them. The tension and the violence of everything is so gripping. And it's not just like, oh, go shoot them up, go blow them up. Da-da-da-da-da. No, it's like just, oh my God, that person's dead.
They're about to die. Oh, they're dead.
Yeah, like you're just watching it. You can't do anything about it. It's just an unnatural thing, you know, and getting gripped and captivated by that is hard to convey in movies, I feel like, just to get somebody to care about the characters, but this movie does it really well. I appreciate that a lot. The only thing that drags it down to that 0.5 is just those minor complaints. The pacing one less so. It's just like a really minor thing that I noticed. It was just worth bringing up. The one that really dropped it down, that other 0.5, is just the predictability of who the last two end up being and them not having as much struggle as others did. And it's not necessarily a plot armor, but it feels like that to me a little bit.
That's fair.
So that's kind of where my gripe comes with it. But, yeah, that is our Two Dudes Talk Movies episode of The Long Walk. Next week is the start of October, which means it is time for our Halloween Spooky Time month.
It's spooky season.
As a reminder, all of October is guests only. So we have planned everything out. All of the dates and times are locked in. All of us will be here for them.
Yes. I texted Luke this morning and be like, hey, I'm going to be gone for a week. And he's like, are you gonna be, we're recording on the weekend.
I didn't say it like that, but
it was implied.
But no, I promise I'm nice to the co-host guys. But anyway, yeah, so everything's planned out. We got all the guests lined up. They're excited about it. I'm excited about it. Whenever I did this last year, October was my favorite month to do everything. Our 100th episode also falls in October. We've gotten all that planned out. I have the guests for that locked in. Notice the plural. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited for that episode. And it releases the Friday before homecoming, during homecoming week. So, stacked week for all of the enjoyers out there. But, yeah, we will be back next week with our first guest. Until then, I'm Luke.
I'm Griffin.
And we will see you then. Bye.
Bye.